Welcome to Breakfast with Brian and Tammy. I'm Brian Wagner.
And I'm Tammy Wagner. And today we're going to talk to you about a few things that we've been working on this week. I have been working with a client on an auction that he's interested in. So I'm going to talk about that.
And I've been doing some digging into REO prices versus standard home sales prices. So I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, cool. All right, so auctions come up when banks, typically, some auctions are different, but typically they come up when banks have taken over properties and they've listed them for a while, but then the property hasn't sold. So they may put them up for auction to generate interest in the property and perhaps get an offer on the property. What happens is an auction is kind of like you see on TV, when you see the Sotheby's auctions and whatever, you have your bidder number, you raise your hand if you're interested in bidding, and then you carry on. It's not that you could raise your hand by mistake and buy a $300,000 house. That doesn't happen in regular auctions. It's, if you make a mistake, you just say, oops, no, I wasn't going to bid. So, but you can bid in person or you can bid online. So what you have to do though is you have to register to be a bidder. You can't just log in one day and bid on an auction. Online bidding, you have to bid probably in advance. And this one we were working with this week, you had to bid or register in advance, 24 hours. Okay. Or you can just walk into the actual auction and you can register. But if you're going for live bidding, yeah. Mm-hmm. The one we were working with this week, they required registration for online bidding, and you could walk in. They required a 5% down payment if you win the bidding. So you have to be prepared if you're there or if you're online with a credit card or something to pay that 5% because it's required immediately. And they also had a 30-day close with no contingencies. So what that means is basically you're locked into buying the property. You don't have an inspection contingency or a financing contingency. You're just locked in and you're buying it.
Gotcha.
They do give you time beforehand to do an inspection and do any other, looking about at the house that you need to. But when you go there, you're buying the property, so you're locked into buying it.
Right. So, but you could end up financing this, even though you don't have a financing contingency. It sounds like to me, then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're pretty darn confident that you're going to be able to get the financing, I guess. Okay. So that's the most important thing. Also, you can do a pre-auction bid in some cases. And so we've done that before. You and I have done that, where we've, on a piece of land a couple of months ago, for one of our clients, we put in a pre-auction bid. So it was like 2 or 3 days before the auction. We put in a fairly low bid, and he was able to acquire that property. And then they just took it off the auction block.
Right, and he won that a couple of days before.
Before the auction, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. So you and I are going to go to an auction next week and do some bidding.
Great, sounds good. Okay, so what I did on the foreclosure homes, I was looking at, are there really deals out there on foreclosed homes as far as the prices, and where do you see those deals happening? So I took a profile of a typical home between 100 and 300,000 on a typical size lot, and standard age, size, all that in Coeur d'Alene, and I looked at the differences in the numbers between an REO or a bank-owned property sale and a standard sale.
And the goal was to just try to figure out, are they really better deals?
Yeah, right? Are you getting these smoking deals that you hear about and whatnot? So what I found is that there are great deals. The prices are really good, but interestingly enough, it's more in where those homes are listed at than it is in getting something for half price off of what it's listed for. So, for example, if you look at the average of what the homes sold for, foreclosure homes sold for, of the list price, it was 98% of the list price.
So they're pricing. So the banks are pricing them to sell.
Well, and they're pricing to sell. Okay. So a standard home was 97% of the list price. The foreclosure homes are 98%. So
that's pretty
really
close.
Are
yeah.
The lowest foreclosure that fit that category in the last year sold for 91%.
Oh, so
it's not as if they're selling. But the difference in the prices were all made up in what they're listed at. So if you look at the price per square foot, the foreclosures, they sold at $90 a square foot.
Okay.
The standard homes sold at $97 a square foot.
Okay.
Even though the standard homes on average were a little bit larger, and typically for the large homes you'd see a smaller price per square foot. So the other thing that was interesting is that the foreclosed homes sold significantly faster 77 days as compared to 117 days for the
So
standard home.
an indication that they are pricing them well, and they're pricing them to get them off their books.
Yep. So the reality is there are great deals, but really it's in where they're listed at more than in going in and making bids
Getting a
at
great
half
deal
of
on.
what they're listed.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
That's great. Well, cool. So I hope that was helpful. We'll let you know how our auction turns out. And if you're looking for an REO property, just give us a call.
Yep. Stay tuned for another edition of Breakfast with Brian and Tammy next week.
Thanks.
Yeah.